where the drama starts. Lap 30, 8 laps to go. Sam Doby hoping to take advantage of these lapped cars. Poleski dives on the right side, very aggressive here. This is lap 4. The two Viceroys, Bill Frazier ahead of Matt Poleski. Frazier's off. Frazier hit the grass. You hit that tire wall, your day is done. Well, now it's lap 20. The Williams still trying to get around the Terrell team as he'll go around the left car and around those at the same time. At the same time, he's got the inside corner. Will he ride the curb? Yes, he will. He will get him on the inside. Vito Maria leading us all into Moss's corner. Look at the beauty as his right side will clip the grass. Oh, a 180, no, a 360. Oh. Who will yield going into this corner? It's really not meant for too wide as it will be Gernald. Gernald will yield. Lots of smoke picking up from that Williams car. He is pushing it to the absolute limit. 26 of 30 now. Only 4 laps to go. He's going to get the run coming out the final corner. He's going to pull up side by side with the leader. It's going to be a drag race to the finish. Who is going to get there first? It's going to be...
Loma has been missing for 2 rounds. Wood has been gone for 1. Despite an incredible opportunity to regain ground in the championship, Steve Bycroft has faltered. With only Spa and Monza left on the calendar, his nearly 50-point deficit is looking unlikely to be overcome. But we've seen stranger things here on iRacing. We'll see if this classic Belgium track sets us up for a classic final round in a week's time as we get ready to watch round 11 of the Lotus 79 Classic Teams Championship. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Stefan Schlacker. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Steph, Spa put on a wild one for the camel race yesterday. Are we going to get another cracker today?
A cracker we're about to get for sure too, but I'm quite certain with much less chaos, such as the nature of this car. Spa-Francorchamps, the birthplace of Spas. Quite literally. I don't think that we need to mention the historic meaning of this place for Formula 1 cars, nor do we need to mention the history of this circuit. So let's focus on what we have before us. 7,004 meters in length. The designers came up with 19 wildly different corners. On top of that, a built-in elevation difference of 102.2 meters. This track is nothing for the inexperienced driver. Downforce is the key to a fast lap. However, top speed will be the key for overtaking. How will the drivers manage that balancing act? We're going to find out soon. First though, we're going to send you trackside to show you how to manage to keep your car on the black stuff in our GSRC lap guide.
All right, we've got Juha Norlampi in the GSRC Lotus 79, so let's do a lap around Spa. The source hairpin is an excellent place to pass, but it's also super dangerous on the first lap. Cars packed tightly together on a sharp hairpin, all eager to gain positions, is just a recipe for contact. Your exit off the corner will definitely be a critical one. As you fly down the hill, you're quickly approaching Eau Rouge, and with the ground effects of the 79, it's easily flat through this frightening set of bends. And that's why the run from La Source is so important. You're not lifting all the way until you reach Lacombe. The Kimmel Straight is going to be chock full of draft battles all race long. It'll definitely be a strategic fight if you can stay within the slipstream of your opponent throughout the lap up until here. But the braking for the chicane offers chances to attack or defend from the inside or the outside. The switchback allows some unique situations for the brave. Around Malmedy, you've now hit the highest part of the circuit. Immediately, the track begins to plunge back downhill, and the first corner you'll meet is Rivage. Like most cars, you'll be fighting understeer, but you won't have much time to switch sides and set up for no-name corner. Be careful not to let the car get upset by the curbing, since it could spin you out if a bump causes it to bottom out. Up ahead, you can see the valley where the lap began, but no time to sightsee because you gotta chuck it into Puhan. If you don't drift wide, you can hold it flat out through the second half. The immense power of this car and the help from the drop in elevation means you'll be carrying a terrifying amount of speed by the time you hit Fanyes. That'll make it tricky to get the car into each apex, but the most consistent drivers will find it paying off in lap time. Once again, get the car across the track because you're quickly thrown into Stavelot. The first half can be tough, but the one you want to focus on is the second half. A small lift will get you through, and ideally getting back to the gas early should gain you lots of lap time. This is the other longest portion of the circuit with your foot flat to the floor. Cars within a reasonable distance behind will start creeping forward in your mirrors. No lifting through Blanchimont, so keep that right pedal planted. Then, drift the car off to the left and throw out the anchors for the bus stop. This will be another popular overtaking spot, but keeping from overshooting the corner will prove tough even by yourself. Stay off the giant sausage curves and then gently get back onto the gas. If you manage to keep it together, you've now finished a lap around Spa.
Here you see what it's like from the driver's perspective around here at Spa and the Lotus 79. But one thing the driver's perspective is important with is, of course, the championship hunt. So let's take a look at the Sunday Grand Prix Series point standings. Alexei and Loma currently up at the top, 3 points ahead of Matt Wood. Now, that makes it seem a little bit tight, but we don't have Alexei here again today. This is the third race in a row that he is missing. Bycroft could still get back into things, but he is going to have to really fight. If he loses, I believe it's 4 more points to Matt Wood, 6 more points, I think it is, to Matt Wood. He cannot catch him in the final rounds. And there's Frisha and Lepisto rounding out your top 5. What about the team's championship?
Well, Joe, it's not as close in that one between first and second, because Pamela's racing team with 296 points are about 25 points ahead of Equipe Renault Elf, that's Wood and Simpkins behind the Renault wheels. Equipe Tabouche 85 points already behind in third place. Then we have Ali Bilal Tad Williams racing team, 95 points, so only 10 points between third and fourth. And then a fourth more points behind is the Scuderia Ferrari on Hogan Turner behind those wheels. 99 points in total behind. So, yeah, those three are really on for a fight for the third place.
Now, if you've never watched the Classic Teams Championship, we've got a few race details for you. It is round 11 out of 12, as we mentioned. It's 21 laps today because it's so long around here. Even in the Lotus 79, it takes a while to get back to line. They have open setups on the car, which is obviously pretty important, especially a track like this with such high-speed corners and long straights, trying to figure out how is the best way to set it up. But the big thing is the incident limit at a track like Spa. Those can rack up very quickly. Do not be surprised if we see a few drivers disappear before the race is over. As always, we want to remind you that we have a merchandise store now here with the Global Sim Racing Channel. One of the items that we've added to it, well, it's Black Friday coming up, so we put a tote bag in there. And again, with Black Friday, we figured, why don't we make sure that this is helpful during that chaotic day so it can hold any item as long as it's part of a Black Friday sale, no matter what size. We've put some special metaphysics into this thing so that you can squeeze whatever you need into that bag and get it up to the register as quick as you need. So go and check out the merchandise store. The link is in the description below here on YouTube. Right now, qualifying is underway, but again, it's a long lap around here. We're still yet to see anybody set a time here, Steph.
Yeah, it's the nature of this track. The first guys are starting to come around now. The first one to cross the line is Patrick Kowalski, 2 minute 7.308. Now, one thing I don't think we have mentioned yet is that this is a classic pit, so the starting corner is actually already Eau Rouge. Now, Nuno Moreira, the first car to dip below the 2 minute 5 with a 2 minute 4.388.
Ooh, and Steve Bycroft ahead of Matt Wood. Again, he's got a lot of ground to make up, though. He has to, at this point, hope that Matt Wood has a couple bad races if he hopes to get this championship. They will both gain a lot on Aloma because he has no more drop weeks left to save him. So obviously this is going to make it difficult for Aloma to try and claim the championship from here. Looks like Nuno Moreira on the first time around is going to be our provisional pole sitter, but they've got one more lap through. And we've got a couple drivers that are quick that are still getting ready to finish their first lap. I see Lepisto and Kochi getting ready to come around. This is Antti Lepisto, the Finn, coming through La Source now, down the hill to where the both start and finish line is in this old classic version that they're running. Let's see what kind of time he's got underneath the number 3 today. It is a 2:05.2, and that is good enough for 5th place, so only the 3rd row.
Next up, Adam Fraser over the start-finish line in his number 9 car. He sets not counted lap.
Looks like Adam Frazier is still on a warm-up, so he's only going to get one timed lap, unfortunately. Nicola Kochi getting ready to come across for his second timed one, but unfortunately, his first one had an off somewhere. That's something else we didn't mention, is it easy to rack up those incidents in qualifying, which will disqualify your lap time. As the number 6 crosses, where is this going to put him? A 2:05 flat. That is a pretty good lap, and that's good enough for 4th.
Right behind him, Linus Technau across the finish line in 9th place with a 2-minute 5.769.
Second lap for Nuno Moreira is quicker, a 2:04.2, a 10th faster for him. Konecki with a quicker lap as well, a 2:05.6, as they're now all streaming across in the dying stages. Ove Trangrade, I'm surprised to see him down in 17th, even with both laps counting for him, so that is unusual.
Yeah, he has showed this season how much he can struggle with this car. It's been a very down season for him, either very early in some crashes or just slow on pace. Now Garen Friedrich over the start-finish line with a 2-minute 4.277, only 0.05 slower than Nuno Moreira.
We could have a good battle on there between Friesche and Moreira. As we said earlier in the season, it'll be just like old times between them. I think the last one to get a time is going to be Antti Lepisto. Yeah, he's the only one that looks like he is able to cross the line in time because we've only got about 20 seconds left. Let's see if he can improve on this 6th position. He's been bumped to the outside of row 3 now. The Finn streams down the hill out of La Source to the finish line with just a few seconds to spare. And it is quicker, a 2:04.937, but that only takes him back to 5th place.
Yeah, I think Adam Frazier forgot that he is on a classic layout, not on the Grand Prix layout, because he just ran out of time coming out of La Source, only a few 100 meters away from the start-finish line.
So let's go through your starting order today. This is a split field. We're on the top split. Nuno Moreira is on pole with Gernot Friesche in 2nd. Matt Wood in 3rd, looking if maybe he could clinch his championship today, his first championship. Steve Bycroft will be starting in P4. Antti Lepisto in the 5th position will be flanked by Nicola Kochi in P6. Peter Mikus in 7th today. Tobias Rohner in 8th, and Jamie Hall in 9th. The top 10 rounded out by Peter Konecki.
Dustin Herrera will be lining up in 11th place, just outside those before-mentioned top 10. Linus Technau in the very end, only a 12th place for him in his 2nd lap. Chris Jensen will be starting in 13th. Erwin Rothkrantz will be completing row number 7 here today. Kendrick Taylor, top 15 for him, the last car to do that. Tommy Mikael Nahola in 16th. John Atkinson will be lining up in 17th. Ove Trangrade, before mentioned, very struggling this season, hoping for a good result in those last 2 races of this season. Starting in 18th place for him. Patrick Kowalski, the first car to set a lap in qualifying. He will be starting in 19th. Barry West rounding out to top 20. And the last row on the grid, the 11th row on the grid, will be completed by Pablo Suarez and Adam Frazier, starting in 22nd, not being able to set a lap time here today.
The only driver here in this split that failed to set a time, interestingly. Everybody else managed to get at least one clean one as we wait for the clock to tick down and the last of the drivers to find their way out to the grid. Pretty much all are out there except for 2, so we should be going any moment now. This should be a good one. Anhola finds his way out there, so the engines start to rev. The lights will come up. We're on round 11 for the Classic Teams Championship, and the green flag is out. Off the line, not the best start for Nuno Moreira. Immediately up to the lead. Gernot Friesche manages to get up to the top spot before they hit Eau Rouge. Everybody behind trying to get pretty single file. We got a little bit of a wobble back there from Linus Technau. Or no, excuse me, that was Dustin Heroder, but he catches it.
Yeah, what a great save by Heroder. He was a little bit over the curb there. Thus, he was loose. A little bit of a side-by-side for Nuno Moreira. Nuno Moreira finds the Ferrari Power in his Lotus and goes past Gernot Friesche for that first place again.
Back up to the front for him, so it looks like he managed to recover what he lost within the first corner. Friesche back to 2nd. Matt Wood in 3rd position. Still a lot of battling behind them as they come through Rivage. In fact, I saw a little bit of contact in midfield between Chris Jansen and Erwin Rokens.
Oh, Konesny! That's a wreck.
Oh, it's in front of the field, but it looks like they're off the racing line. Most everybody able to avoid it. We'll get back to that a little later.
Just 2 cars involved there, Konesny, and another one. Very lucky for him to be able, very lucky for the rest of the field to be able to avoid that. As they now make their way through Club Corner.
Bycroft is down to P5, having been overtaken by Lepisto, but he's close on the heels of the Finn right now. The number 3 sitting in 4th is giving a nice little draft to the Hoosier as they approach Blanchimont. Let's see if maybe he could have something up towards the bus stop for the first time. He's gating on him. A little bit of a defensive move from Lepisto, covering off the middle of the track. They're going to go wheel to wheel down into this chicane, but it's not meant to be this time for Bycroft.
Yeah, look at Kochi though. Oh, he had to run just a little bit too eager on the throttle. So he will not be able to challenge Bycroft into the last corner of this layout. Thus, we are able to complete the first lap.
Kochi actually a little bit wide coming off of La Source. That's Jamie Hall behind him, taking a little bit of a peek. Doesn't quite work out though. They come down towards Eau Rouge one more time. If he can stay with him, stay close behind, the Kemmel Straight's going to be great for Hall. As they climb up the hill once again. Didn't turn out as great as we had hoped for Jamie Hall as he falls back. In fact, Kochi was the one that gained on Steve Bycroft. They all stay in order. Herrera, Freesia, Wood, Lepisto, Bycroft are your top 5.
Yeah, there's already about a 2-second gap between 3rd place Matt Wood and 4th place Antti Lepisto. So Lepisto most definitely not able to go the early speed of the top 3, but maybe that changes during this race.
I think we've got some time for the replay on the incident through No Name, lap 1. I didn't see who all was involved in that. Did you catch, Steph, who was in there?
Unfortunately not, but I think one of those guys was obviously Peter Konesny, who was the car that also went upside down. I really can't see who that second was. Was it Dustin Herder? Yes, it was!
Oof. Bad times for both drivers. You could see severe damage on both cars. Koneski is still running. And Herder, unfortunately, had to take a tow, and he is in the pits after that incident. I'd say his day is probably done from here. We watch our drivers continue on through the bus stop, working their way down towards La Source one more time. That is Gernot Freesia chasing Nuno Moreira, our second and first place cars respectively. Coming around to start on lap 3 now. They have distanced themselves from Matt Wood by nearly a second and Lepisto by nearly 2 seconds, so already showing some incredible pace up at the front.
Yeah, one guy who I would say is a little bit struggling, Jamie Hall, he's right now in 7th place. And he's already getting attacked by Peter Mikus for that 7th place. Now, obviously, Mikus started in 7th place, so maybe just looking at getting back that 1 place list.
Not quite of a long enough of a straight there for Jamie Hall, or for Mikus rather, to attack Jamie Hall, as he unfortunately was not close enough. He stays with him down through Rivage. They've got a train of cars starting to form behind them as well. That's Roner, Technow, and Unhola that are all kind of stacked up and waiting for something to happen in front of them.
Unhola looking very eager at the back of Linus Technow, but it looks like the Technow is running a little bit less downforce than Unhola, able to go faster down the straights, but he's struggling a little bit through Double Gouche as they're going right now through that turn. And Unhola looking a little bit to the inside, but once again, just Technow able to go a little bit deeper through Pit Path.
Now coming out of Stavelo on the long run down towards the bus stop. I have to imagine, at least in clean air, is it flat out in these cars through Blanchimont?
Oh yes, I think even in third year the Blanchimont is easily full throttle, as Bycroft just showed. And Technow is now actually getting Unhola.
He had a go at it.
Yeah,
Wasn't quite there though.
I don't know what to say about that move, Tommy. They're very eager, maybe a little bit too aggressive right now on trying to overtake Techno. I mean, he did stick back again, just trying to unsettle Techno, I guess, but still, that's not the place you want to do that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty difficult. And, well, he's going to get another go here. Once again, he's got to withstand the buffeting of the car ahead through Eau Rouge to set himself up for the long run up the Kemmel Straight. He's staying right with him. This is a fantastic run from Unhola, and he might have Tech now before they even get to the braking zone. He's going to take the inside as Linus doesn't quite cover off fully all the way down to the right side of the track. They brake, but Linus is much later. Look at that, fantastic stuff. He's managing to keep Tommy back there, but not quite as finally through Malmedy, he completes the pass.
A Finn that is not good on the brakes. That's not something new, especially if you're a Bottas fan. But yeah, Tommy and Hola still able to get past Techno, which I would say confirms what I was already thinking, that Unhola runs a little bit more downforce than Techno, and Techno just not able to keep up with Unhola through the corners.
A little bit farther up, the battle for fourth is still on. Ever since Lepisto got by Bycroft, he's been hounded by him for pretty much this whole race. And Bycroft has been trying, but just nothing is coming out for him quite yet. They do have a bit of a distance to Kochi behind them, so he's safe from getting into too much of a fight, as they can spare some time before they get caught by the Italian. Let's see if he can get anything coming up to the bus stop this time. This is a great run here from Steve Bycroft as we ride on board down through Blanchimont. Lepisto, does he stay defensive? Yes, he does. Nope, he comes back to the racing line. He feels safe enough.
And that is not surprising, because Steve Bycroft actually ran into his limiter. Now, if you're asking yourself, how is he running here into the limiter and not down the Kemmel Straight? Well, easy. The Kemmel Straight is actually a slower part of the track than the run up to the bus stop. Obviously not surprising, because the Kemmel Straight is going upwards, and you have that funky little turn called Eau Rouge Radillon in that straight.
Well, maybe a shorter straight, but will it give a better opportunity? Bycroft looking good. He's closing in. You can see as we ride on board with Lepisto, he's being forced to go to the outside there, covering him off. The Finn once again not going to let him have an opportunity. A little bit of a slide into the corner, though, as he was offline. Sounds like we had a change from 9th position. Unhola with another one, this time on Roner.
And this was down Kemmel Straight, just able to get better out of Radillon and makes the pass happen on the brakes into
Lecombe.
Lecombe. Thank you.
I hate when that happens. Brain just stutters for some reason as they continue on their way down the hill. Looks like Unhola's next victim is going to be Peter Mikus in 8th place, but he's got a little ground to make up at this point. It's about a second and a half up to the next driver. Still, an impressive run from Tommy Unhola. Started in 16th. That's quite a few positions up, and we're only 5 laps in.
Yeah, we have heard several times already from Unhola that he's not the greatest in qualifying. I can totally relate to that, Tommy. I'm also not the best in qualifying. Always have to gain quite a few positions in the first few laps, and that's what Tommy Unhola is doing. And yeah, up 6 positions already. Actually, 9 positions. But he's in 9th, so he's up 7 positions. There we go. So yeah, Unhola doing the best he can, but obviously as further he goes up the field, the more difficult these passes get.
Also had a pass for 15th. Adam Frazier manages to get by Kowalski. I think this was an easy pass down towards Blanchimont, where he just got a better run and slipstreamed his way by. So Adam Frazier coming forward from his lack of qualifying. Still got a lot of work to do today, though. We finally get past for fourth here as Lepisto once again going defensive. Bycroft actually got beside him this time, but once again, he is still stuck. Down towards Ravage. He stays with him. He's going to give himself an opportunity if he stays this close long enough, I would think. A little bit of a connection issue there, though, for a moment for Steve Bycroft. He does come back eventually. Certainly doesn't bode well if he has to do some close wheel-to-wheel racing here at Spa. You're not missing anything up at the front. Moreira about 1.2 ahead of Freesia. Matt Wood is still in third with a car between himself and Bycroft right now. Hard to say. I'll have to check the points to see if he'll clinch it in that manner.
Now, one thing I also am keeping a little bit of a look at is that team championship. Matt Wood obviously in the Renault car versus Steve Bycroft in that Parmalat car. Parmalat leading ahead of Renault, but with Bycroft struggling to get past Lepisto for that fourth place and Wood running a third place, that is going to shift that battle a little bit closer towards last lap fight in the last round of the series.
We continue to watch this fight for fourth place here, Steph, and we're repeatedly seeing Ante cover off the inside to go defensive. If you're Bycroft, can you maybe use that to try and sell him a dummy somehow? Is there anything you can do, since it seems to be something of a predictable move at this point from Lepisto?
It's hard. Lepisto drives quite far to the right side, and like right now, Bycroft just has too much momentum to do anything. So, yes, Bycroft just has to be able to brake later, which he just can't get now. A little bit of an overshoot by Lepisto, but once again, Bycroft thinking a little bit more about the championship, which, quite honestly, he's about to lose, rather than actually trying to take Lepisto and trying to get back into that fight.
Yeah, I'm thinking at this point, he's got to start taking some risks. I think we had a change for 10th place. Technow got by Roner. I think this was into Lacombe as well. Indeed it was. Linus was able to get up behind him, make actually quite a brave dive down into Lacombe and completed the pass. That's going to get him into the top 10. Let's take a look at the replay, because this was definitely aggressive but fair.
Yeah, that's the trademark of Linus. He's aggressive, but he knows his stuff. Doesn't overcommit to anything, and that is just how you do it through Lacombe into Brussels. That last right-hander is Brussels. He had a little bit of an issue out of Brussels, but Arena not able to jump on that opportunity.
Oh, I think Bycroft has got one of his best runs. If we head back to him, there it is on screen. Another defensive move there from Lepisto, just like you were saying, going all the way to the right when he needs to. This is a brilliant defense from Lepisto thus far, making life incredibly difficult, and a lot of wheel spin is going to set Steve Bycroft back. Now he's got to regain a little ground before he can attack again.
Out of Blanchimont, that actually wasn't too good of a run for Bycroft, because he was running so quickly up to Lepisto that he had to jump a little bit on the brake not to run into the back of Lepisto. So we might have seen the pass of the century there into Buster, but Bycroft had to go onto the brake to not run into Lepisto, thus still behind.
All right, can he do anything with it here? This is starting to become history repeating itself, especially for poor Steve. Lepisto forcing him off to the outside as they hit Lacombe, and once again, Steve Bycroft still stuck in fifth. We, for a brief moment, had Freesia closer to Moreira. He was down to 0.8 of a second. I'm not sure if Nuno made a mistake or what, but it has since pulled back. Oh, and Technow's had a problem, a big problem. He's on his lid. This was all on his own doing, coming through Lacombe.
Yeah, Tech now just on the curb there accelerates a little bit too hard, loses his car, and then in spectacular fashion totals
Someone
that car.
trying to figure out who that was that just went underneath him. I think that was
Road
John
fronts.
Atkinson Jr.
Pretty sure that was actually a Rotkrantz that went under him.
Both of them did, really. There's the onboard, and whoo! Yeah, both of them having to take some very excited, evasive action. Try and get through. It gives them both the position. Rotkins up to 12th, and Atkinson up to 13th with that. That's our third DNF of the day. Heroder, Konecki, and Tech now have now been joined. Interestingly, Ove Trangerade is down in 19th after all is said and done. Been a pretty miserable day there for the Norwegian.
Yeah, just has no speed whatsoever. His fastest lap was a 207.4, but that lap is about nearly half a second faster than his fastest lap, second fastest lap. So yeah, he's stuck behind these cars. Most definitely has chosen the wrong way to go with the setup, and really has to pay for that now.
Watching the battle for 17th just in front of them as they come around the La Source hairpin and down the hill one more time. If you're watching your tower at the left and wondering about Lepisto and Bycroft did not make the pass. He had the same thing happen all over again. So up the Kimmel straight, they start to stretch out a little bit here. Taylor on Kowalski gains some ground, but not enough that he can manage to get to the inside. Getting close to the halfway point here, Steph. Most things are settling out, but we've just got those few battles where I think a few drivers might be getting frustrated at this point.
Yeah, I would say so. They're getting frustrated. Some acts are starting to look a little bit frustrated. I can't really say that though about the battle between Bycroft and Lepisto that we're looking at right now. It doesn't seem like Bycroft is getting frustrated yet. Most definitely he is losing time behind Lepisto. He just isn't aggressive enough to do the passes. Like right here, he should lay off a little bit. Doesn't do it, thus gets the error wash and loses all the momentum he needs to make the pass into the bus. But then also on top of that, he's braking very early, which isn't very usual to Bycroft. Or maybe it just looks like that and Lepisto is actually able to brake much later than a Bycroft. Whatever the case is, Bycroft just can't get past that fin.
Yeah, you're right about them losing ground. It's about 4.5 seconds up to Matt Wood, who's really kind of gone into no man's land there in third place. He's having his own quiet race. I would be curious to see if Bycroft can run him down, if he can get past, but if he can get past is a big ask. He could try it here as he's got a very good run, maybe a little bit better than usual. He's going to be fully side by side by the time they hit the braking zone, but he's going to have to go the long way around. He's much braver on the brakes this time. Can he finally get it done inside of the left-hander? But unfortunately, finally has to give it up. Lepisto fending him off once again.
Yeah, Bycroft this time, he just didn't accelerate out of the right-hander and really took the left-hander extremely slow on the inside there. Steve, you can take that much faster than you just did, because Antti Lepisto, he gave you the room. Antti, a very fair driver, gives you always the room that you need. Not much more than that, but he always gives you the room, and all this does is bring Nicola Kochi into that fight, as you can see right there and then on your screen.
I think we had a change for 11th as Janssen got past Rotkins. Unless Rotkins has actually been chasing Janssen, and my memory is mistaken here, but Janssen now up to 11th, having started 13th. 2 positions up for him.
I think I have to disappoint you and say yes, your memory serves you wrong there.
So yeah, it seems he's running him down then. He's got it to within half a second. Trying to find his way up towards the top 10 as well. Despite a few scares on the first couple laps, it's not been too dramatic of a race. This is in stark contrast to what we saw with the Camel Series yesterday. Got some great battles, though. Drivers trying to duel with one another and sort out positions that are hotly contested, championship implications positions. And in fact, it looks like we got a battle brewing here for first, because Morera has been caught by Frisch by about half a second.
Here comes Bycroft once again. It goes to the outside of Le Pisteur. This time, though, not as far ahead. And once again, breaks way too early.
I almost wonder if that breaking early is him sort of biding his time, not wanting to lose time racing side by side. Unless he, unless we see him like he was a couple laps ago, where he was fully alongside. He knew he had a good chance and he had to be committed to it. Right on board with the Finn, looking back at Steve Bycroft. Continues to watch this championship slip through his fingers. Wood has to be happy about today, though. Losing Aloma yet another time. Would love to know what has caused Alexei to have to lose out in these last few races and not show up. We have a change of position. For 8th, looks like Unhola got Mikus. We asked whether or not he could run him down, and he gave us a solid yes. I think that was coming out of Puhan. Yeah. Here's the replay. Great job by the red number 11. So now from 16th to 8th for him, though Miku's really good on the brakes, almost getting up underneath the gearbox of him. Thankfully didn't get into him, but he also gets a lot of wheel spin. Miku seeming to struggle a little bit here now that we enter the last half of the race. Oh, so not struggling is Frisha. He just set the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, that's what the draft does to you. 2-minute 5.029, a tenth faster than the fastest lap of Nuno Moreira, so they're most definitely quite on pace with each other. Here comes Bycroft once again. Let's see if he does it this time. He gets about halfway alongside me, probably, nearly full, but once again, just doesn't carry through the speed.
All this fighting between them is allowing Nicola Kochi to start to reel them in. He was a little bit farther back earlier. It's down to 1 second, and he's bringing Jamie Hall along with him as well. So this is not good news if they keep this back and forth going.
I had now a look at the points in the Sunday Grand Prix series, and right now...
Ooh, who is that off? Kowalski unfortunately finds himself in the barrier. He had a little bit of help here. Kendrick Taylor going wheel to wheel. It's all started coming into Lacombe. Oh.
Yeah. Who is that? Taylor, most definitely around the outside, tries to keep Kowalski under pressure there. And then a small little nudge tells Kowalski to go analyze that tire barrier.
Meanwhile, Bycroft closing in once again on Lepisto. And this time he was looking a little bit more aggressive initially on the braking, but then backed out of it. And Kochi behind them continues to gain. Nope, not this time. He looked a lot closer though. Meanwhile, Frisha now down to 0.3 of a second. This is the closest he's been. Nuno Moreira, can he actually fend him off? He chooses not to. He stays with the racing line. Frisha down to the inside. For the first time, we have a new leader, but will it stay that way under braking here into the corner? They go wheel to wheel down through Lacombe. Around the outside of the second apex, Frisha manages to get it, but it's a good run once again for Nuno Moreira. Looking to the inside, down into Rivage. and he's just not quite there enough, even though he gets a nose in. Gurno Freesia gets the lead back for the first time since he got a good run off the line, and Morera nearly throws it away out of no name.
Well, Steve, there's the example on how to do it through Lacombe. Now, rinse and repeat. I want to get back to finally the point that I wanted to make about the Sunday Grand Prix Championship. If we have it right now with, Matt Wood finishing in 3rd place, getting 46 points to his name, and Steve Bycroft finishing in 5th with only 39 points to his name, we can say that Steve Bycroft will most definitely win. Matt Wood will most definitely win the Sunday Grand Prix Championship, unless obviously Aloma shows up for the last race. But even that, I think, is pretty much out of question. That Aloma can come back from the deficit that he will gain after this race.
Yeah, that's a good point that we hadn't taken into account. That's assuming that Aloma will continue to fail to show up, but it'll be very difficult for him to overcome Wood after today. Down to 9 laps to go. As Bycroft, once again, I want to see him do something different here, Steph. I feel like he keeps trying the same thing over and over again. It's not producing results. He's got to throw something different at Lepisto.
Well, he could throw the steering wheel at him, but I don't think that will change much.
Do they have water bottles in these cars?
No. No, not really, but some drivers actually had cigarettes in their cars, because that was the time where a lot of drivers were smoking. Here comes Steve Bycroft with the run. Let's see if he can do it this time. He's already alongside him and stalls out because of getting very close to the limiter. And once again, Lepisto much braver on the brakes.
It was a better run than we had seen before from Bycroft. Up at the front, we kind of need to keep half an eye on Freesia and Morera too, because that's still staying within about 0.3 of a second. I don't think Gernot is out of the woods quite yet here in the Ardennes. Although Nuno seems to be struggling dealing with the wake of the car ahead. You can see how much he dropped off down there through Puhan.
Puhan or Double Gouche if you're not taking the Americanized way of this circuit. Anti-Lepisto is still ahead of Bycroft for the battle for 4th place, and in 3rd place, a very, very lonesome Matt Wood, who will most definitely take over the Grand Prix Series Championship lead, unless something happens to him.
I didn't know Martin Brundle was American. Sorry,
it's the same thing. American English, it's the same.
Meanwhile, we watch our leaders work their way around the bus stop. P10 getting a little bit close here as we've got Roner with Janssen behind him, followed by Rockins and Atkinson Jr. bringing up the rear of the train. A 4-way fight to try and settle out the top 10. Down into the bus stop chicane. Roner not doing a bad job himself, up 2 spots. Bit of a bad exit for Chris Janssen out of that final chicane, and Erwin Rotkins has been chasing him. We noted that he had gained up to about half a second before, but he's been stuck there since we last looked. Hasn't gotten any closer. Towards Eau Rouge, up across the hill. What can the number 22 do with a run here? If he gets one, it doesn't look like he does. Of course, the slipstream helping Chris Janssen as well. The Scandinavian helping himself by keeping within the draft of the number 21 up in front. We are down to 7 laps to go. The time available ticks away for our drivers. If anybody's going to start to make a move, they're going to have to do it soon. Speaking of which, something we haven't talked about is, even though we were watching Kochi try to gain on Bycroft, Hall has run down Kochi now. The battle for P6 has closed in to within 2 to 3/10 of a second. Now up towards Stavolo once more. See if Jamie Hall can maybe do something now that he is within the draft. There's Dirty Torque Machine getting ever closer to the gearbox of Nicola Kochi. Kochi going from looking ahead to spying in his mirrors, seeing if the UK&I driver is close enough to make an attack, and it doesn't appear to be the case this time. Down into the bus stop. Takes to the racing line as we continue to ride on board here with Jamie Hall in 7th. Down now to 6 laps to go. We've got 2 pairs fighting here for the top spots. We've watched one for much of this race, Lepisto and Bycroft, but now we're getting another here with Kochi and Hall. Swinging through Eau Rouge. Hall looking very close. In fact, this is going to be a fantastic run here for the number 8. Staying to the inside, the Italian, forcing him the long way around. What can Hall do now with his best opportunity we've seen yet to try and take away this 6th position? Around the outside, he's got a nose ahead, and now he is fully ahead. Jamie Hall gets it done at his first attempt.
Yeah, the McLaren car gets past the Talbot Chiton of Nicola Kochi. Oh, that was checking
Wow,
out
yeah.
that gearbox.
Getting right underneath him. But unfortunately, it almost looked like it held him up a little bit, so Kochi falls back. Can Hall now run down Bycroft as well? I have to wonder. They've got a little ways to go. It's about 1.7 seconds from the number 8 to the number 4 car. And if he does catch him, well, Bycroft can't sit and brake early any longer. I'd say at that point, he's really got to be aggressive on Lepisto. Up at the front, Morera's starting to fall back a little bit. I almost wonder if Frisch's managed to break the draft a little here. Finish line not going to be here if you're used to modern Grand Prix racing. They've got to go all the way around here at La Source, and you'll get one last go running down the hill to where the finish line is at the Classic Pits. Just right there. On board with Nuno Moreira. The Club Iberia driver does get back within that slipstream. Prisha feels a little bit under threat because he stays off to the inside. Oh, in fact, this is a pretty good run. Wow, a really good run. Maybe too good under braking for Nuno Moreira as he takes it too hot into the corner. Well, that was unexpected. Oh, and Bycroft is fully side by side right now as well. Bycroft feels some impotence to go, and is he going to be able to finally capitalize? He's not learning the lessons that you've been trying to teach him, Steph. He loses out in the same spot.
Yeah, Bycroft just, I don't know, he's just not aggressive enough. He really needs to step up his aggressiveness. It just won't cut it like he's racing right now. You're always going to lose a championship fight if you race like that and you're in the chasing position. So Bycroft, I don't see any hope anymore for him to crawl back into that championship, or rather to keep that door open to challenge that championship of Matt Wood or Alexi Loma if he chooses to come back into the last race.
Pisto is the Petrov to Bycroft's Alonso today, unfortunately. We're going to be 4 to go at the line as they come out of Stavolo. Jamie Hall is closing in bit by bit. It's about 1.3 seconds now. Half a second closer to them. Not sure if that's quick enough for him to be able to start to attack these two. Unless they do continue to fight the way that they have been. Well, Bycroft is answering, yes, I am indeed going to fight because I want this spot. I want to keep my championship hopes alive. Doesn't work into the bus stop, though.
At this point,
go ahead.
I want to say at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if Jamie Hall is able to get up to Bycroft, and then it actually will be quite a trouble for Bycroft to stay ahead of Hall because he has the better pace. Plus, Hall is able to brake later and more efficiently than Bycroft. We will have to see how this one goes. Maybe this time he gets a good run and is deciding to stick it a little bit harder in, and no, once again, decides to lift and stay behind Lepister.
Oh, and Rockins managed to get past Janssen. Well, where did this happen? We've got a replay at the ready. Oh, wow, Janssen with a mistake. This is rare for Chris.
Yeah, seems to have slightly locked up the rear brakes there. Probably on a downshift as it looks like. And runs wide through the bus stop and... yeah, just loses that one position. By the way, the bus stop, for a few years now, no longer called the bus stop because the bus stop is no longer there. It's now just a chicane.
It'll always be the bus stop. So as they continue on, Gernot Frische leading the race now by 0.6 of a second. Nuno Moreira is starting to lose a little bit of touch, but we've seen him regain that ground here and again. You know, I realized as we were talking about Chris Janssen there making that mistake, I was thinking of Carl Janssen, who we've seen race in other series before. So apologies to the Janssens confusing them up.
They're both sons of Jens. Yeah, so yeah, it's all right.
Some relation in there somewhere along the line, right?
Yeah,
Right.
if not in the blood, at least in the name.
Down to 3 laps to go. And Moreira, oh wow, that was a big loss that time. 0.8 of a second behind Frische, but that means that we've got time to watch now in this battle for 4th, just off the podium. Bycroft has regained some ground away from Hall, but the driver he really wants is right here. If you're just joining us, we might sound sort of lackadaisical about this, but it's because we've seen this before multiple times, and Bycroft has not been able to pull off the move because Lepisto has just been a master at defense, but Bycroft finally may have learned something once again.
Once again, he just slows up way too much through the left-hander of Lecombe, and thus Lepisto able to defend his position. Just Bycroft has to be able to get that little bit more aggressive on that throttle to turn his car around the left-hander of Lecombe and challenge Lepisto into Brussels. Otherwise, he's not gonna get past that Finn ahead of him.
I will say, he stayed side by side a little bit longer this time than he did before. It's almost like he's making incremental inroads and chipping away, but again, it's not working for him. He's got to do something here to try and get this to finally put his car fully ahead. Even when he does that, though, I wonder if Lepisto will have an easier time trying to just slipstream him right back.
Now, one thing I can already tell you about Steve Bycroft, he is, for his definition, already quite aggressive. Like, Steve Bycroft, never a guy who takes a lot of risks. Much more consistent about his stuff. Woohoo! What a slide by Steve Bycroft there through Blanchimont, saving that car. But no, yeah, Steve Bycroft, a very, very cautious guy. He's not taking a lot of risks as we go on to replay to show you a wreck of is that over train grade.
It is indeed. And let's see what happened here. Was there any sort of contact? There was, yeah. That was with Patrick Kowalski. Unfortunately, that wound up sending him into the barriers with odd bit of reaction to the car going to the right instead of the left. So we come back live, back to Moreira, having cut it down to 0.6 of a second. Frische still ahead of him and still fending him off. Ever since he got by, Nuno really hasn't been able to do much, even though he's been holding on to him. They've dropped Matt Wood by about 8 seconds at this point. The number 2 car probably not all that concerned with it. He knows he's going to get good points today. He knows that he's getting points over Steve Bycroft. This is putting him in the catbird seat here for the final race of the season at Monza.
Knock knock, who is there? It's Jamie Hall for the battle for 4th place. He has pretty much gained the draft range, and I don't think that he will be able to challenge any of those two as Bycroft makes a mistake and Hall able to really close the gap now. But yeah, I don't think he will be able to challenge them in the last lap. You never know though. So yeah, either way, Jamie Hall, that's the biggest news of this battle for 4th place. And now also part of it as Steve Bycroft once again runs a little bit out of internet juice.
He's going to have to pump a little bit more into his modem there, unfortunately, with 1 lap to go pretty soon. Frisha is going to get the white flag. Lepisto now leads a train of Steve Bycroft, Jamie Hall, and Nicola Cocci. 4 cars, all for 4th place. Herrera with the fastest lap that time by. Might be a little bit too little too late for him, though.
Jamie Hall a little bit too late on the brakes into Lotus, losing a little bit of time once again to Steve Bycroft, as Gavin Fridge able to defend his 1st place into Lacuna.
Oh, but Herrera closed quite a bit. Meanwhile, we head back here. Bycroft, this might be one of his last opportunities. The bus stop could be the final time that he really sees a chance, but is he going to be able to do without it here? No, he just doesn't seem like he's got the handle on the brakes. In fact, he slides the car, and Jamie Hall has a little bit of a peak, but isn't close enough to capitalize.
Watch Hall now, he is really close, and he is a very good driver on the brakes. I always struggle to overtake him in Camel Duty in the Audis. So yeah, maybe Jamie Hall actually able to do something, maybe into bus stop or Lessers.
All right, Herrera set himself up well. He got to within a couple tenths behind Gernot Frisha. Oh, and once again he bobbles as he comes off of Stavolo, getting onto the AstroTurf. I think that's going to deny him the chance. Just a couple more corners to go for Frisha. We're going to stay with this, and then we'll jump back to the battle between Lepisto and Bycroft. All Frisha has to do is stay smooth, both out of here the final chicane and through La Source. He's good out of there. Herrera is going to have to hope for something desperate if he wants to take this victory. I don't think he's going to get a mistake out of Gernot, though. From La Source down to the finish line. Victory today, despite not taking the pole for Gernot Frisha. What about that battle for 4th? Looks like Lepisto still ahead. Bycroft couldn't do anything with the slipstream. They come up to La Source. It has been a frustrating day for the number 4 car, and it's going to continue to frustrate him all the way to the line because Lepisto with a magnificent defense to give himself 4th place. Looks like Roner as well deserves a pat on the back, going from well, actually, no, I take that back. He is down 2 positions from 8th to 10th, rather. The number 21, even still not a bad day. And he is going to round out with the top 10. So that's going to take us to a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen you're going to see all the upcoming races here on GSRC. Welcome back to Spa-Francorchamps. We just watched the penultimate round here in the Classic Teams Championship. Gernot Frische took the victory, but he is out of the championship hunt now mathematically. Nuno Moreira took second behind him. Those two, the nice little fights there for the lead. They started on the front row with one another. Matt Wood, he has not clinched the championship, but it's going to be incredibly tough for Aloma to catch him next round. He is the only driver left who can manage to overtake him in points. Antti Lepisto finished fourth today, ahead of the driver who is desperately trying to get by to try and keep his hopes alive to take out Matt Wood. And Bycroft had to settle for P5 today, eventually ending his championship run. Jamie Hall just behind him in the end, not too far back at the line. Sixth place, Nicola Kochi with seventh, and Tommy Unhola from 16th to 8th. He was ahead of Peter Mikus in ninth position, and Tobias Rohner rounding out the top 10.
Erwin Rothkans has finished in 11th place from 14th. Chris Janssen gains one position to finish in 12th place. John Atkinson, a big gain for him also in this race. 4 points in total, starting from 17th, finishing in 13th. The biggest gainer, though, I think in this field is Adam Fraser, alongside Tommy Unhola with that 8 positions gain from 22nd to 14th. Kendrick Taylor didn't move a single position. He started in 15th. Finished in 15th. Pablo Suarez from 21st up to 16th, so no small feat for him either. Barry West finishes in 17th, and the last car to not only finish this race, but also the last car to be on the lead lap with that, obviously, is Patrick Kowalski in 18th. Then the list of the did not finish guys, led by Ove Trengrid, another race to forget for him, 3 laps down on the field. Linus Techner in 20th, 13 laps down. Peter Konisny 21st, 18 laps down, and the first victim of this race done 22nd, Dustin Hurrida, starting from 11th place.
Our winner today, Gernot Frische, joins us in the booth after starting in second. Gernot, you had the lead for a very short while at the start, and then you fell back for a little bit. Would you say that your setup was much stronger at the end because you closed in on Nuno, you passed him, and then from there, he never had a chance to try and get back by you, it seemed?
To be honest, I don't really know. I think almost every race was quite similar. So Nuno was always, just running the same lap times as me. And he always overtook me in the beginning. And I had, a little bit of a struggle to follow him, especially in that one in the beginning. Mid-race, I was getting a little bit faster maybe. Turned out well for me in the end.
It certainly did. You were going a little bit defensive at times, though. It looked like you felt somewhat of a threat from Nuno. How seriously did you think he had a chance to try and overtake at the end there? Because we saw you go down off to the defensive line a number of times, especially up to Lacombe.
Of course, he had a chance. It was a super close race. It was, just a minimal difference in the end. So I think I had to drive defensively, but tried to give enough room. Was a little bit lucky as well in the end.
Well, mathematically, you're out of this championship, but you've made an impressive climb having missed the first 4 rounds. Will you be at Monza, and do you expect another potential win there?
Yeah, I think I will be there, but I don't really expect to win. My personal favorite there is Matt, because he's usually very, very fast. Those really low downforce tracks. Maybe also Steve. Let's see, will be an interesting finish for the season.
Certainly will be. Well, again, congratulations on the victory, and hope to get to talk to you again in the final round.
I hope so too. See you guys. Congrats to Nuno as well for great race, and Matt, of course. Bye-bye.
That was our winner today, Gernot Frische. Up next, second place, Nuno Moreira, ready to talk to Stefan Schlacker.
Yeah, Nuno, just like the good old days, it's once again was Gernot Frische versus you. And just you guys, nobody else to fight. You looked like being in control of this race, and then suddenly Gernot started to close in on you. Was it just you getting a little bit tired, or was the setup just using a little bit more the tires than you would have wanted to?
I guess looking at the race now, I guess Gernot was very clever, and I think he was able to save a bit the tires, because in the end I still managed to be fast, but in the wake in the draft I wasn't able to find a good spot to pass without risking both races. So I think it was a very clever race from Gernot. So congratulations to him. Pace wise, I think we were, if not equal, marginally different, and I think he was a bit faster than me. So yeah, we have to accept it.
Oh, well, nonetheless, it was a very great showing from you once again in this series. Next up, the last round of this season at Monza. How good can you set your chances? How high can you set your target for Monza?
It's the same. I think in Monza. Monza is also a circuit that I'm very fond of, and I've done pretty amazing results there already. So, but so has Gernot and Matt and Antti, Steve. I don't know, all the top 5, 7. Even Nicole are very fast at Monza. So it will be a very interesting race. It is a very, very, very cool circuit to see a race, because there are a lot of overtakes, a lot of opportunities to leverage from mistakes. I don't know. It will be fun, but I'm here just to have a little bit of fun, and I have. I don't think I will have time to practice to get to a victory, but who knows? I hope so.
Well, we most definitely will be on the lookout for you then at Monza. Nuno, congrats once again on your second place, and thanks for talking to us.
Hey, thank you very much, guys. See you next week.
Nuno Moreira, your second place finisher here today. Next up, it's Nicola Cocci with Chopi.
Yeah, the Italian may have fallen down one position from where he gridded up, but it looked like it was tense out there. You were continuing to try to catch that battle in front of you with Lepisto and Bycroft, and then suddenly Hall joined the fray. What was it like from inside the car?
Yeah, I think I had like the biggest deja vu of all time, because I keeps watching up lap after lap the same stuff again and again, just like go too wide on the straight, and the lap after that the same and the same and the same. I don't know how many how many times I saw the same thing again. And I was always keeping an eye on my relative to see what was going to do Jamie behind me. And I saw that he was very very similar pace. He never fell off like more than 1.6 seconds, something like that. So at that point, I thought that I was faster on the straight, making maybe lower downforce setup, and Jamie was a little bit higher downforce, because in the twisty section it was gaining me a lot on me. So I thought that it was kind of safe, because it's not easy to pass on Spa if you don't have like the straight line speed. But I was surprised that as soon as he was getting like half a second behind me, he straight line speed was very very good, and I couldn't hold it off, and I just like thought better of not going to fight for that position, because in the last phase of the race, I think that Jamie was faster than me.
Speaking of straight line speed, next week is Monza, home track for you. Uh, are you hopeful that maybe you could sneak yourself a win? We heard that Matt Wood is pretty quick there, and I'm sure it'd be meaningful for you if you could manage to take the top spot and on home ground.
Yeah, well, my home track, I think it's more Imola than Monza, but I'm just Monza is like the main Italian track anyway. So I think I had good races in the past there, and it all depends about how many hour of practice I can get this week, and if I can just like meet my usual time of practice. I think that maybe a win is too much, but maybe a top 5 or even a podium if I'm lucky. It could happen, but I see at least 3 or 4, maybe 5 drivers that is going to be very, very fast there. I don't know if I can cope with them.
Obviously, Nicola feeling realistic. That was Nicola Kochi today, finishing 7th. I'm sure he'll love to manage to get on the podium at Italy, with that being such a special podium there. But we've got to close up with a big thank you to the Lotus 79 community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. But also, we need to give a thank you to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcast. They're listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. And also thanks to the team today, Stefan, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. Also, check out our social media. Our Twitter is at GSR Channel, Facebook, Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram, GSRC_Graham. If you want to check out our merch store, we've got a link down below in the YouTube description. It is gsrc.storenv.com. And don't forget to subscribe. All you got to do is hit the big red button that says so, and you won't miss a moment here on the GSRC. Heading over to Monza, that'll be Sunday, December 1st, 11:30 a.m. Eastern, the finale for this season. But we'll have more racing coming up in 2 weeks' time after that. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. But until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.